Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick, and I will be teaching on Yoga Sutra 212 today. The sutra is about the kleshas. This whole section of more or less the beginning of the second pada in the Yoga Sutras is about the kleshas. And the kleshas are what are called the twists of our mind. It's really important to know the kleshas. I'm kind of becoming more and more of the opinion that if you don't know the kleshas, you can't really call yourself an advanced practitioner because they are the twists, right? We find twists in our asana practice and we can become really advanced in those twists, but the twists also exist in our mind. So asana is just one little part of the larger piece, of the larger whole that is yoga. So to bring an awareness back to these kleshas and to start to understand, because what these sutras are getting into, they're starting to tell us how we can untwist our mind, how we can dissolve these kleshas. Because when there's a twist in the mind, a twist in the perception, the mind is not seeing clearly. The mind is not perceiving clearly. And then it's just kind of, what do you do with that? What do you do with that information when you know that you're looking through a dirty window? Or, yeah, you kind of want to clean it off, right? You can imagine how sometimes your bathroom mirror gets a little dirty, or mine does at least. I gotta like Windex that and wipe it down so I can start to see clearly again. So I think it's important that we agree upon this more or less desired outcome of seeing things clearly before we, because that becomes our why, right? That really becomes the why for listening and implementing the wisdom from these sutras, both on our mats and off our mats. Okay, so 112 is this. Let me see if I can get this Sanskrit. Kleshamula karma sheyo drishta drishta jamna vedaniya. Kleshamula karma sheyo drishta drishta jamna vedaniya. So I always try to do the Sanskrit because it's like they say that the wisdom of the sutras is more in the Sanskrit, right? More in the vibration of the sound, and that there's actually more wisdom in that sound vibration of the Sanskrit words than my explanation will ever be able to amount to, right? So the wisdom is in the sacredness is in the words themselves, the spoken words themselves. And I think it's also my opportunity to work with the growing edge. Chanting definitely has made me nervous in the past, and I was kind of worried about, oh, I'm not going to pronounce this right. But that's an opportunity for me to be with an edge, which really I think is a big part of what the sutra today speaks to. So Alan Finger here in Tantra of the Yoga Sutras, he's translating this as karma works by a pattern of chain reaction. You know what I like to do? I like to share my screen when I teach my students. So I just put this right up there and I highlight it for them. And I say, here's a sutra we're working on. You know, karma works by a pattern of chain reaction. The kleshas motivate actions, and the resulting reactions are experienced in this life or a future life, generating new kleshas. So I look at that and I kind of say, this is the phrase, you've made your bed, now sleep in it, right? You reap what you sow. Karma works by a pattern of chain reaction. The kleshas motivate actions, and the resulting reactions are experienced in this life or a future life, generating new kleshas. And I think it's important to think on both ends of that. So like you're not only planting seeds of things that are going to sprout in future lives, but there are things that have been planted in past lives that are sprouting now for you, right? And you could even just think about that, even if you don't believe in reincarnation, think about that as like the DNA that's been passed down to you through generations. Your parents and their parents and their parents' parents and their parents' parents' parents and their parents' 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 parents, right? There's been a generational lineage in a way that's sort of determined how and who you are today to some degree. And so these things are all always sprouting at all times. All right. I'm going to jump us over to another translation here, or another commentary. And this one's from it's from a Yoga Sutras app that I have on my phone. I don't know who the translator is. So here it is again. Let me see if I can play this.
Kleshamula karma sheyo trishta trishta janma vedaniya.
Vedaniyaha. And it's all written like very specifically. Every little line that you see here, it's kind of like an accent to tell you how to pronounce that, right? So yeah, let's listen to that one more time. Oops, I got to do it here.
Kleshamula karma sheyo trishta trishta janma vedaniya.
That's cool. All right. So let's look at this. Klesha is an impediment or an obstacle. Mula, we know like muladhara is the root. Karma, I love this. Karma is cause and effect or physics. I'll take that as a definition for karma, physics. Ashaya, tendencies, deposit, drista, seen. That's like dristi, you know, our gaze, where we fix our gaze. Adrista, unseen. Janma and Vedani Yaha, to experience. So the translation that they're putting here is the root of elusive perception is stored in streams of consciousness that propagate into our thoughts and actions, some seen, some unseen, throughout all our births. The root of elusive perception, that's the klesha, right? The elusive perception is the klesha. Can we just review the kleshas? We all know what they are. I realize I'm slipping into this mode of how I talk to my students. But I think it's really important. Like if I'm going to teach my students what the rhomboids are and the scapula and retraction, oh, I better hurry this up. I have Spanish class in 8 minutes. If I'm going to teach them all those things, I think they should also know that avidya is ignorance, that asmita is ego, that raga is attachment, that devesha is aversion, and that abhinavesha is fear of death, and that these are the twists. So if you've ever had a moment of ignorance or a moment of egoism or attachment or aversion or fear of death, you're operating under the kleshas to some degree or other. So these are the elusive perceptions, and they're stored in streams of consciousness that propagate into our thoughts and actions, some seen, some unseen, throughout all our births. All right, then we go to the commentary. And this is rich. Our untold futures hide themselves across the consciousness like seeds among a forest. They are unawakened experiences. Some of these experiences were never yours, but your parents or your ancestors handed down to you either genetically or emotionally. They wait for an opportunity to incubate and give birth through your body, speech, and inspiration. Once we understand how these seeds of inspiration hatch, we become their designer rather than their echo. That's like a mic drop. So this is the idea of latent energy, and that there is latent energy that is waiting to be ignited. And we're witnessing this happen right now in spring, like when I'm giving this Dharma talk, end of April. Spring is bursting open, and it's a fucking miracle. Stop and look at a tree right now blossoming. Oh my God, it is, that's all you need. That's all you need to know, right? To understand the rhythm of the universe. Because there's a rhythm to this expanse and this contract. There's a rhythm to the blossoming of these seeds, okay? And so to me, the real invitation behind this klesha is well, Carl Jung talks about it in terms of the conscious and the unconscious. Until you bring the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So that means you're operating under forces that you aren't aware of. That's what unconscious means. You're operating under forces that you aren't aware of. And if you want to be the designer rather than the echo of that experience, you've got to start sowing seeds with intention. In his book, Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about it as every single action you take or habit that you have, it's like casting a vote for the identity that you're evolving into. So for the person that you are becoming is determined by your actions today. This is you are what you eat, right? And there's a lot of different ways we could go with this too. Because there's another angle here that is ecology, biology. They are the same, right? They are the same. The outer is informed by the inner, and the inner is informed by the outer. So knowing that is going to teach you what kind of seeds you plant. It's saying that you can design your own life. So you just got to figure out what you want to do, where you want to be, and you all of a sudden now have the tools and the resources to get yourself there. So this is more or less going to be the nature of the Dharma talk. I'm just doing a big brain riff right now. But where I would implement it is in my thematic through line would be something along the lines of sow the seeds for the garden that you want to live in, cast the votes for the identity that you want to evolve into by taking conscious action right now. And I would use that, for example, even in tabletop with metacarpal's fingertips. If they're looking to work into an arm balance or a handstand, I would use it right there. This is an opportunity. Cast the vote for the person that you are becoming. Sow the seeds for the garden that you want to live in. Take action right now. All right, so what else am I supposed to say? Apply it to closing. Ooh, what's the closing? The closing is that one's capacity for being able to implement this practice into their life, it is expansive. It's essentially steady presence. You get to living truly awake, truly consciously, truly in accordance with self, lowercase s, capital S. And there's a rhythm to that. There's an ease to that if we can get the ego out of the way. So if that's the enlightenment you're seeking, if that's the evolution that you're seeking right now, sow the seeds for the garden that you want to live in. Cast the votes for the person that you are becoming by taking conscious action right now. Namaste.